What's up guys? In this video we're going to continue our dialogue system. So right now we have a pretty big problem where when we play our game the first character changes because we're still using our old dialogue system. So we need to update it, and I'm gonna go, well, I just brought up my dialogue manager here. So here we are in our dialogue manager and we're still using the old system. So right here, I haven't hooked up the animator override controller yet with this new system. So for now, we're just gonna be caring about this part, and this pretty much just changes the first sprite, and we don't want to change just the first sprite. What we want to do is we want to know who's speaking. So this character is speaking, but he's over here, and so we need to get his information, so get which one is speaking, and then change that portrait accordingly to the correct emotion, because we're pretty much just worrying about the emotion right now. And so how do we do that? Alright, so what we need to do is we need to get the index of the character that is currently talking. So we have a list of characters here, 4 characters, and then we have a current, or like someone who's talking, and we need to compare the person who's talking to the list of characters that are in the dialogue. And so once we get that, then we can get the index, and then we can use the index to change the character portrait to the correct emotion. So I'll just show you something. So right now what's happening is that this line of code, along with the finished talking code, is changing the first character's emotion, and we don't want to do that. So if I were just simply take this out, and then down here just return, and then we play, see the character is correct, and it doesn't change. But if I were to, so these all use standard emotions right now, so the emotions don't change, but if I were to change them, they wouldn't change accordingly. So how do we fix that? Well, first, as I said, we need to get the character information, and we need to use that in the DQ dialogue section. But the problem is that we can't pass the dialogue base through a parameter, because we use dialogue DQ, or DQ dialogue, I should say, in other areas, and we don't want to have to pass a parameter through there too. So we can make a global variable. Let's call this global or private dialogue base, and call this current dialogue. And then simply all we need to do is we need to make current dialogue equal to db. And now we have access to the current dialogue that is being played, and we can use it anywhere we want. And so now that we have that information, we're going to create a new method, and we're going to call this private integer get character index. We're going to say get current character index. And so this is going to return the index. Right now it's giving us error because we're not returning anything. So how do we return what character we want? So we're going to use the for loop, because we're going to loop through all of the characters. I just hit for, tab 2 times. And then we're going to get rid of length. Instead of length, we're going to put our current dialogue characters dot length. So this is going to loop through all the characters that we have in our current dialogue. So you see here, our characters, it's going to loop through all of that. And now what we need to do is we need to compare the characters to the one that is currently talking. So how do we get the character that is currently talking? Well, we can do that by going to our dialogue base, and you see here, character, we want this right here. We want the character and compare it to the characters with an S. So let's go back here, And we need access to the info now. And we can simply just make a parameter, call it dialogbase.info, and call it info. And then we can say info, or we say if info.character is equal to current dialog.characters I. So this will check if the character is equal to the one that is in the list. And if it is, then what we're going to do is we're going to return that index. And then if we don't, then let's just return 0. So we'll also say debug.log error no characters are, we'll say something like character is not in the list. And so it should never reach this part. And if it does, then we'll put an error, and then you'll know that, okay, well, this character isn't in the list, and so I need to do something about that. And so now we have the index of the character that we want. And so now that we have the character that we want, we can go here. And instead of using this dialog portrait sprite thing, we're not going to use that anymore. We'll get rid of it, because now we are using character portraits, and we're getting error down here because it wants us to keep using dialog portraits. We'll just get rid of that. We'll fix this all later. So we're going to be using our dialog character portraits. And then now we can say character portraits. And so it's now we need the index, but we can get the index through our little method over here. So we say get current character index, and then we're going to pass in the info. And then we're going to say .sprite is equal to info.character.myPortrait. So this won't change anything unless we change the emotion of the characters. Alright, so let's test the new dialogue. I've added some more stuff here, and we'll be able to see that the characters, when I hit next line, they change the motion to the correct character. This guy changes, and this guy changes. This guy changes again. Because I don't have emotions for this character yet, she kind of stays the same. But we have an issue where the character's emotions stay the same from the previous dialogue. And so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to reset all the emotions when we do this part up here, when we set the character portraits. We want to set it to not the their current emotion, but rather we're going to want to use their base emotion or their standard emotion. So we're going to go to our character profile, and we're going to get the emotion portraits, and we need to use the standard one. So we're going to want to go back to our dialog manager, and instead of my portrait here, so my portrait gets the emotion or the current emotion of the character and sets it to that. But so we're not going to want to use my portrait. Instead we're going to get the emotion portraits, and we're going to use the standard one. And now whenever I initially load up my dialogue, all their emotions are going to be neutral except for the person talking, because I changed it to angry. So when he opens up, he's going to be angry, as you see here. And then as we continue, all the characters are going to do their thing. When I open it again, you see all their emotions go back to being normal. Alright, so how do we set the position of the name holder to the position underneath the character portrait? Well, in order to do that, let's first get a reference to the name holder. So let's say right under here, usually want to group your public variables together and your private variables together, but this is kind of all over the place because it's like an example, but that's what you usually want to do. So I'm gonna make a public transform because I want to change the transform of the name holder, and then I'll just call it name holder, and I'll set the reference first. So let's go to our manager, and after it compiles, we'll have a name holder down here. We just drag in our name holder. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can now change the position of the name holder. So we can say name holder dot position, and what do we make this equal to? Well, we want to make it equal to where the character portrait, the position of that. We can alter it or tweak it later, but for now, let's just try to get a rough sense of where to put it. So we can say character portraits, and then what index do we want? Well, the person that we're talking to, and we already have a little method to get the correct character index. So we can just take this, copy it, paste it, and then we can throw in the info, and we can use this and get the game object dot transform dot position. And with that, let's play our game. And you see now that the name holder will go underneath the character that's talking. So right now it's probably just a bit too high for my liking. Usually it's like, you know, touching the dialog box. And so let's see how we can remedy this. We can subtract a new vector 3, and we can just throw in 0, and we're going to change the y to like a 2 or something. So, well, actually I don't know how much I need to change it by. Let's just say like 100 so you can see that it's going to change drastically. See, now it's all the way down here. And so you kind of have to like go back and forth to see where exactly you need to put it. So I'm just gonna clean this up a bit and I'll show you guys what I got. Alright, so I cleaned up the dialog boxes just a bit, and so now we have something like this where it fills up more of the screen, and then it goes right underneath the character, and then yeah, it jumps to whoever is talking and changes their name so that you know who's talking, and yeah, that's about it. So that's it for this video, and the next video I'll handle probably some animation stuff to make it look even better. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. I'd like to thank my Patreons Alejandro, Kovian, Bay, Emerson, Kirijo, Polybius, and Yoan. If you want to become a patron, you can support me at patreon.com/devbird, where you can join my Discord, or you can just join the Discord in the link description below. And there you can suggest videos or ask me questions, and I'll see you guys next time.